Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Eternal Sonata playthrough. We are back in the Chorus Plains, and all is sort of good with the world, I suppose. In the sense that we've got a brand new party member in the form of Viola. Or Viola? Viola. Oh my god. It's because I'm thinking of the viola, which is obviously a stringed musical instrument that is played with a bow, which explains exactly why her weapon of choice is a bow and arrow. And yeah, she's amazing. So the viola is basically slightly larger than a violin and has a lower and deeper sound. And that is just awesome, which I suppose makes sense because viola is a slightly older lady in terms of the rest of the cast. She's not old by any means, but she's 26 and the rest of the cast are sort of under 20. So it makes sense.
This is a really old bridge.
If you fell from here, you'd be dead for sure.
Since I don't usually take the goats this far out to graze, this is actually the first time I've ever crossed this bridge.
You have to cross the Cabasa Bridge if you want to get to Forte Castle from Retornando.
I understand. This bridge is a form of protection. It creates a single point of defense for Forte territory, against any attacks that may come from the south.
Bingo! Hey, you're pretty darn smart, aren't you? That's right. And it's also why there's a fort at one end of the bridge. It's called...
I think it's called Fort Fermata, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Fermata, that's it.
Let's be careful going across, okay? We don't want to fall.
Ugh, I think I'm gonna wet myself.
Too much information, Beat. Far too much information. Thank you very much.
Well, Fugue, did you learn anything new?
Yes, my lord. It was relatively easy to find the creatures in question, but unfortunately, I could not find a single one that glows.
I've no interest in hearing about your failure.
Yes, but...
We know from experiments that mixing those creatures into the powder doubles its effectiveness. And we've also heard several eyewitness accounts of some of them glowing. I must have them, no matter what. If we obtain some that glow, even by conservative estimates, the potency will increase tenfold. It is our duty to protect the well-being of our citizens. The role of a government is to serve its citizens to the utmost of its ability. If the powder's effectiveness increases, the people will be happy, will they not? I can just see the smiling faces of my subjects. So, now that you understand what's at stake, you will go and search for them again. And don't come back until you've found them. This is for our beloved subjects.
Yes.
I won't listen to another report of failure. Understand?
My lord, the mining operation at Mount Rock is proceeding smoothly. Mineral powder production is also increasing according to plan.
There's no need to report when things are going well.
And so we finally get to actually, you know, continue with what we were doing. Although once again we get interrupted. I don't know why they don't just, you know, do the whole cutscene rather than, you know, giving us teeny tiny little bits of gameplay in between.
No, of course not.
It's strange, though. Do they actually think that someone will attack Forte from the south? After all, the only big city that's south of here is Retardondo. Do they really need to keep watch from here?
That's a good question. But just take a look around this place. I never said they were actually keeping watch.
Yes. Now that you mention it, I do not see any soldiers posted.
Yeah, that is weird. I figured a fort of all places would have lots of guards.
Well, this fort was in use a long time ago. You see, Retardondo was attacked by pirates lots of times. This is the best spot for a fort, if Retardondo was ever beaten by enemy forces.
Even so, right now it's just a comfy home for people who've been driven mad by the mineral powder.
So yes, this is something that I didn't quite touch upon last time, because obviously it was mentioned in the cutscene, but I was ignoring it because, you know, end of a part and all. But since we're entering Fort Fermata, which is a dungeon, and arguably, from what I can gather, everyone's least favourite dungeon in A Tale of Sonata, for reasons that I will go into because we are going to be here for an extraordinarily long time. Yes, the mineral powder, which is being given out willy-nilly to everyone, is turning people into monsters. Like, literally driving them mad to the point that they are becoming monsters. And yeah, it kind of begins to make everything make sense as to why mineral powder is not being taxed. Because clearly, Count wants an army, and turning his poor, unfortunate civilians into monsters that he can have in his army is a great way to go about it. And they are going to beat this point home many, 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 many times. Like, nearly to the point of you just going, if I hear the words mineral powder one more freaking time, I'm going to cry.
How was that?
And so I think that is a very intelligent thing that the game is trying to do. It is making a very good point in terms of its social politics and its philosophy, but yeah, once again, do just not appreciate having it completely beaten over the back of my head. But that's fine, because there's other things where they've not been ridiculous with bludgeoning you with their points. So we have the Kabasa Bridge, which I find to be quite funny because a kabasa is a percussion instrument that's constructed with loops of steel ball chain wrapped around a wide cylinder. So you sort of shake it and you rub it about. And it's sort of, in a way, a maraca of sorts, and you shake it about and it rattles. And so that's quite fitting for the bridge, because obviously it's a shaky, rocky bridge, which is actually quite subtle for this game, to be fair. But then we also have Fort Fermata. So a fermata is a pause of unspecified length on a note or rest. So fermata comes from Fermata, I think, which means to stay or stop. Something that is also known as a hold, pause, or locally a bird's eye or cyclops eye, or as a grand pause when placed on a note or rest, and basically just means that the note should be held beyond the normal duration of what it's normally there for. So, for example, oh god, this is where I'm gonna start going into
This is
really bad
much better.
things with actually proper musical notes and stuff. So, yes, so a crotchet is a quarter note, and it's basically the whole thing that helps make up music. Obviously you've got quavers, which are eighth notes, minims, which are half notes, semi-breathes, which are whole notes, and they basically will dictate how long the note plays. But a crotchet, so if you hear da 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 played sort of regularly in a tune, then they're crotchets. And basically, if you had a Fermata over a crotchet, it would last for half a bar like a minim, I think, rather than the one beat that it would be as crotchet. I think that's how it works. Somebody who knows music better than me, I would very much appreciate someone pointing that all out and how that all sounds and works and stuff. But I think that's roughly how it works. You see, it's times like this when I sincerely wish that I still knew how to read music, because this is stuff that I would actually know, and God no. I will say, if you're playing through Eternal Sonata the second time around, you are probably going to want to have Vivid Shot and Night Shot in some form on beat, because, so we've started the trading quest here, but when you go into Encore mode, which is the New Game Plus, you can continue that trading quest, and I think there's also an Encore mode specific trading quest as well, and in order to get part of that you need to have 20 pictures. I think it's 20 pictures of different species of enemy. So you're definitely going to want to take those photos when you're doing an Encore mode. But the first run of the game, yeah, it's not needed. You're much better off just going in for the kill with Rapid Shooter. And I think we have Fire Blast at this point. I hope we have Fire Blast at this point, because it's helpful. You see, there's times when I'm paying attention, and there's times where just other things just fly by me. But it's all good. Now, I believe that we may have had a few enemies before this that did something even more unique with light and darkness, but I'll mention it here. But with these little ratty enemies, obviously they're very much like the rats from the sewers in Retardando, but these ones have a dark tail, which basically emits an aura of darkness around them. So if you are within that aura, then it will effectively be as if you are in shadow. And so sometimes you do have to be very careful with how you are perceiving, well, how you're going about your attacks, because it may be that you have a character who you'd prefer to stay in the light, i.e. Polka, if you want her to be healing.
Forget the pain you felt.
If you go in for the kill with one of those rat enemies with Polka, then she's not going to be able to heal because you need to be in the light to do that. So you do have to think quite carefully about how you go about that sort of thing. And oh dear, Polka's in trouble. I mean, not majorly, because these guys don't do a tremendous amount of damage. Like, they seem somewhat threatening, these maledictors, but they ain't all that horrendous. And I do quite like their design, because they've got like a whole plague doctor thing going on.
Now, you will sleep.
And basically the name Maledictor comes from malediction, which is a magical word or phrase uttered with the intention of bringing about evil, i.e. a curse. So Maledictor would effectively be like cursed one or bringer of curses or something to that effect.
It's a frame of mind, you see.
Ah, I love Frederick's level up quotes. It's I think it's because it fits very much in line with like the Professor Layton-esque critical thinking is the key to success type dealio. I think that's why I love it, because it's just a frame of mind, you see. It just works so perfectly, and it really is just a frame of mind, you see. And yeah, it just makes me happy. Now we are slowly but surely making our way through Fort Fermata. And I should probably bring up why this is a very much maligned dungeon in the game. So, the first point of call is it's a pretty dingy looking dungeon. Like, I mean, its general colour palette is pretty dim. I mean, this isn't hugely exciting, is it? And also we've already been in the sewers, which were much more visually engaging than this. And brighter. Always prefer a bit brighter stuff going on. But the other thing that's really frustrating with this is that the dungeon itself has a lot of items in it, but you need to do a lot of busy work to get those items, because you've got this room here, which, as it said when we stepped into it, sunk a little as we moved.
Let's get started.
And basically that's the indicator that you can move it. So you've got to move this room around somehow magically between different locations in order to get all the items and to get out of Fort Fermata. The really annoying thing with that is that you're going back and forth across two halves of the area, and it all looks very similar. And because there's very little indicator of where the rooms that move the main big room are, it's very easy to get lost in here. It's like very ridiculously easy to get lost. And I mean, the other thing that I find particularly annoying is that you've got to do quite a lot of fights to get up to what would be the recommended level for the end of this dungeon. Because I believe you need to be about level 16, and obviously everyone entered here at around level 11. So yeah, you do have to do more grinding than you'd probably ever want to do in one fell swoop. I mean, most of the dungeons later on you're asked to maybe go up like 3 levels at most to not horrifically struggle with the boss that's going to occur. But yeah, Fort Fermata, it just decides it needs to be a dick. And yeah, that just doesn't make me happy.
Did I make your eyes spin?
And I don't think it makes anyone else very happy either. Which is a shame, because as a concept, Fort Fermata is quite cool. I mean, you've got this abandoned fort that's crumbling away, and that is quite fascinating, and also Lord of Darkness. It's like the little rat's gerbil thing is trying to sound so dark and edgy, and he just ain't that. He really just ain't that. It's like the biggest case of self-aggrandizement via name you could ever possibly hope to see. But yeah, there was promise in Fort Fermata in terms of its idea and concept, but in terms of the execution of this dungeon, it's easily down there at the bottom. I mean, I suppose in a way its name's quite fitting because it's Fort Fermata, Fort Pause, and it really does feel like a pause in the middle of the game's opening couple of chapters, because oh, you're in here for so long it's ridiculous. We're only halfway there. Oh.